for salvation will work, will work. Only God's plan for salvation will work. What would you have me do? What would you have me do? Where would you have me go? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say? And to whom? And to whom? Holding grievances is the opposite of God's plan for salvation, and only His plan will work, will work. Only God's plan for salvation will work, will work. Only God's plan for salvation will work. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today and studying Lesson 71 in A Course in Miracles. We're reading from the Foundation for Inner Peace version, and I'm Forgiveness Willie, teaching forgiveness from the Ozarks, here for Thursday, March the 12th of 2026. Only God's plan for salvation will work. You may not realize that the ego has set up a plan for salvation in opposition to God's. It is this plan in which you believe. Since it is the opposite of God's, you also believe that to accept God's plan in place of the ego's is to be damned. This sounds preposterous, of course, yet after we have considered just what the ego's plan is, perhaps you will realize that however preposterous it may be, you do believe in it. Paragraph 2. The ego's plan for salvation centers around holding grievances. It maintains that if someone else spoke or acted differently, if some external circumstance or event were changed, you would be saved. Thus, the source of salvation is constantly perceived as outside yourself. Each grievance you hold is a declaration and an assertion in which you believe that says, if this were different, I would be saved. The change of mind necessary for salvation is thus demanded of everyone and everything except yourself. The role assigned to your own mind in this plan, then, is simply to determine what other than itself must change if you are to be saved. According to this insane plan, any perceived source of salvation is acceptable, provided that it will not work. This ensures that the fruitless search will continue, for the illusion persists that although this hope has always failed, there is still grounds for hope in other places and in other things. Another person will yet serve better, another situation will yet offer success. Such is the ego's plan for your salvation. Surely you can see how it is in strict accord with the ego's basic doctrine, seek but do not find. For what could more surely guarantee that you will not find salvation than to channel all your efforts in searching for it where it is not? God's plan for salvation works simply because by following His direction, you seek for salvation where it is. But if you are to succeed, as God promises you will, you must be willing to seek there only. Otherwise, your purpose is divided, and you will attempt to follow two plans for salvation that are diametrically opposed in all ways. The result can only bring confusion, misery, and a deep sense of failure and despair. How can you escape all this? Very simply. The idea for today is the answer. Only God's plan for salvation will work. There can be no real conflict about this because there is no possible alternative to God's plan that will save you. His is the only plan that is certain in its outcome. His is the only plan that must succeed. Let us practice recognizing this certainty today, and let us rejoice that there is an answer to what seems to be a conflict with no resolution possible. All things are possible to God. Salvation must be yours because His plan, which cannot fail. Salvation must be yours because His plan, which cannot fail. Begin the 2 longer practice periods for today by thinking about today's idea and realizing that it contains 2 parts, each making equal contribution to the whole. God's plan for your salvation will work, and other plans will not. Do not allow yourself to become depressed or angry at the second part. It is inerrant in the first part. God's plan for your salvation will work, other plans will not. Do not allow yourself to become depressed or angry at the second part, that other plans won't work. It is inerrant in the first, that only God's plan will work. And in the first is your full release from all your own insane attempts and mad proposals to free yourself. They have led to depression and anger, but God's plan will succeed. It will lead to release and joy. Remembering this, let us devote the remainder of the extended practice period to asking God to reveal His plan to us, and ask Him very specifically, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say, and to whom? Give Him full charge of the rest of the practice period, and let Him tell you what needs to be done by you in His plan for your salvation. He will answer in proportion to your willingness to hear His voice. Refuse not to hear. The very fact that you are doing the exercises proves that you have some willingness to listen. This is enough to establish your claim to God's answer. In the shorter practice periods, tell yourself often that God's plan for salvation and only His will work. Be alert to all temptation to hold grievances today and respond to them with this form of today's idea. Holding grievances is the opposite of God's plan for salvation, and only His plan will work. So when you're starting to be tempted to get upset about something, tell yourself, holding grievances is the opposite of God's plan for salvation, and only His plan will work. Try to remember today's idea some 6 or 7 times an hour. There could be no better way to spend a half a minute or less than to remember the source of your salvation and see it where it is. So throughout the day, about every 10 minutes, tell yourself only God's plan for salvation will work. Okay, let's see. And when we do your longer practice period today, begin by thinking about today's idea, realizing that it contains 2 parts, each making equal contribution to the whole. God's plan for your salvation will work, and other plans will not. Do not allow yourself to become depressed or angry at the second part. It is inherent in the first. And in the first is your full release from all your own insane attempts and mad proposals to free yourself. They have led to depression and anger, but God's plan will succeed. It will lead to release and joy. Okay, you kind of get an idea of what to do. And then after you've considered that only God's plan will work and other plans won't work, then ask God very specifically, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say and to whom? And then sit quietly, listen for marching directions. Okay, let's go take a look at our text reading in chapter 8, the journey back, Roman numeral 4, the gift of freedom. If God's will for you is complete peace and joy, unless you experience only this, you must be refusing to acknowledge His will. His will does not vacillate, being changeless forever. When you are not at peace, it can only be because you do not believe you are in Him. Yet He is all in all. His peace is complete, and you must be included in it. His laws govern you because they govern everything. You cannot exempt yourself from His laws, although you can disobey them. Yet if you do, and only if you do, you will feel lonely and helpless because you are denying yourself everything. And in reality, you can't really disobey God's law. You can imagine you can, and that's enough to be depressing. It's all done in dreams. We're safe in God's embrace. Paragraph 2. I am come as a light into the world. I am come as a light into a world that does deny itself everything. It does this simply by dissociating itself from everything. It is therefore an illusion of isolation, maintained by fear of the same loneliness that is its illusion. I said that I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. And He said that in the Bible, Jesus did, in Matthew chapter 28, verse 20. And then there's another verse He's getting ready to refer to that was recorded in John 8, verse 12. That is why I am the light of the world. That's John 8, 12. That is why I am the light of the world. So let's read it all. I said that I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. That is why I am the light of the world. If I am with you in the loneliness of the world, the loneliness is gone. And that John 8:12 is actually, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. You cannot maintain the illusion of loneliness if you are not alone. My purpose then is still to overcome the world. I do not attack it, but my light must dispel it because of what it is. Light does not attack darkness, but it does shine it away. If my light goes with you everywhere, you shine it away with me. The light becomes ours, and you cannot abide in darkness any more than darkness can abide wherever you go. The remembrance of me is the remembrance of yourself and of Him who sent me to you. Paragraph 3. You were in darkness until God's will was done completely by any part of the sonship. When this was done, it was perfectly accomplished by all. How else could it be perfectly accomplished? My mission, says Yeshua, was simply to unite the will of the sonship with the will of the Father by being aware of the Father's will myself. This is the awareness I came to give you. And your problem in accepting it is the problem of this world. Dispelling it is salvation. And in this sense, I am the salvation of the world. The world must therefore despise and reject me because the world is the belief that love is impossible. The world is the belief that we've got to defend ourselves and that love is impossible, that we're too vulnerable, we got to protect ourselves. But the truth is that we're not a body and we can't die. And that's what we have to look beyond. Look beyond the appearances of the world. If you will accept the fact that I am with you, you are denying the world and accepting God. My will is His, and your decision to hear me is the decision to hear His voice and abide in His will. As God sent me to you, so will I send you to others, and I will go to them with you so we can teach them peace and union. 4. Do you not think the world needs peace as much as you do? Do you not want to give it to the world as much as you want to receive it? For unless you do, you will not receive it. If you want to have it of me, you must give it. Healing does not come from anyone else. You must accept guidance from within. The guidance must be what you want, or it will be meaningless to you. That is why healing is a collaborative venture. I can tell you what to do, but you must collaborate by believing that I know what you should do. Only then will your mind choose to follow me. Without this choice, you could not be healed because you would have decided against healing. And this rejection of my decision for you makes healing impossible. Paragraph 5. Healing reflects our joint will. This is obvious when you consider what healing is for. Healing is the way in which the separation is overcome. Separation is overcome by union. It cannot be overcome by separating. The decision to unite must be unequivocal, or the mind itself is divided and not whole. Your mind is the means by which you determine your own condition, because mind is the mechanism of decision. Mind is the mechanism of decision. It is the power by which you separate or join and experience pain or joy accordingly, whether you separate or join. Join, you'll feel joy. Separate, you'll feel pain. My decision cannot overcome yours because yours is as powerful as mine. If it were not so, the sons of God would be unequal. All things are possible through our joint decision, but mine alone cannot help you. Your will is as free as mine, and God Himself would not go against it. I cannot will what God does not will. I can offer my strength to make yours invincible, but I cannot oppose your decision without competing with it and thereby violating God's will for you. Paragraph 6. Nothing God created can oppose your decision, as nothing God created can oppose His will. God gave your will its power, which I can only acknowledge in honor of His. If you want to be like me, I will help you, knowing that we are alike. If you want to be different, I will wait until you change your mind. I like that. If you want to be like me, I will help you, knowing that we are alike. If you want to be different, I will wait until you change your mind. Infinite patience. I can teach you to be, or I can teach you, but only you can choose to listen to my teaching. How else can it be if God's kingdom is freedom? Freedom cannot be learned by tyranny of any kind, and the perfect equality of all God's sons cannot be recognized through the dominion of one mind over another. God's sons are equal in will, all being the will of their Father. This is the only lesson I came to teach, that we're all one. We're all equal. Part of Godness. All part of the sonship, the only begotten of the Father. Be all of us. The last paragraph to finish this section, 7. If your will were not mine, it would not be our Father's. This would mean you have imprisoned yours and have not let it be free. Of yourself you can do nothing, because of yourself you are nothing. I am nothing without the Father, and you are nothing without me, because by denying the Father, you deny yourself. I will always remember you, and in my remembrance of you lies your remembrance of yourself. In our remembrance of each other lies our remembrance of God, and in this remembrance lies your freedom, because your freedom is in Him. Join then with me in the praise of Him and you whom He created. This is our gift of gratitude to Him, which He will share with all His creations, to whom He gives equally whatever is acceptable to Him. Because it is acceptable to Him, it is the gift of freedom, which is His will for all His sons. By offering freedom, you will be free. And there actually is one more paragraph, 8. Freedom is the only gift you can offer to God's Son, being an acknowledgement of what they are and what He is. Freedom is creation, because it is love. When you seek to imprison, you do not love. Therefore, when you seek to imprison anyone, including yourself, you do not love him, and you cannot identify with him. When you imprison yourself, you are losing sight of your true identification with me and with the Father. Your identification is with the Father and with the Son. It cannot be with one and not the other. If you are part of one, you must be part of the other, because they are one. The Holy Trinity is holy because it is one. If you exclude yourself from this union, you are perceiving the Holy Trinity as separated. You must be included in it, because it is everything. Unless you take your place in it and fulfill your function as part of it, the Holy Trinity is as bereft as you are. No part of it can be imprisoned if its truth is to be known. Okay, well, let's remember today, only God's plan for salvation will work. And only God's plan will work. Other plans won't work. And then ask God what He wants you to do today, where He wants you to go, who He wants you to talk to, and what He wants you to say to them. Okay, what holidays and observances are going on around the world? Ramadan continues. Lent and the Great Lent continue. Also, it's the feast day of Saint Maximilian of Tebessa, who was a 3rd century Catholic, and he's the patron saint of conscientious objectors. So, you know, that I would definitely be a conscientious objector. I don't see how you could follow the Course of Miracles without being one. You would never want to attack, ever. Mid-Lent Thursday in Guadalupe, for the Guadalupe Catholics, Mid-Lent Thursday, they have a little break for they had their Lent 40 days, I think it is. And in the middle of it, they have Mid-Lent Thursday, where they have a party. Eat a bunch of food they shouldn't be eating. Aztec New Year in Mexico. Happy New Year, Aztec New Year. Girl Scouts Day, Alfred Hitchcock Day, Baked Scallops Day, Christian Day, Working Moms Day, Popcorn Lovers Day, ZMAs, World Day Against Cyber Censorship, World Glaucoma Day, and World Kidney Day. And then I've got a edible landscaping, one more mulberry that I was going to tell you about it yesterday, and we just didn't have time. And it's the Pakistan long red to black fruits of very large size, and are the largest mulberry fruits we've seen. Up to 5-inch long fruits, but usually around 3 inches. That's still a pretty long berry. The fruits picked in the ruby red stage are sweet and can be sold to local markets. Pakistan is not adaptable to all regions of Zone 7 and 9. They evolved in an area of mild winters. Our winters can have fluctuating swings in temperature, causing Pakistan buds to swell, making them susceptible to dieback. You know, get that warm time in this early spring, then a hard freeze, and that hurts them. So it's only zone 7, but there's a little bit more here. The tree can lose branches and suffer winter injury if this occurs. There are places in the U.S. where the plant grows well and the tree is vigorous and productive. Coastal areas of Zone 8, California and Oregon, are choice places for Pakistan. Because of their nature, we do not guarantee them against winter kill. Pakistan is an upright tree shaped and can be pruned after fruiting to maintain a manageable size. Zone 7 through 10, space 15 to 20 foot circles. So if you're going to plant it in Zone 7 or maybe even in Zone 6, you'd want to do it with some care so that it didn't reach those early frost swings. Our word for peace is from our brothers on the Blue Nile, also known as the Abe River of Nigeria, or in Ethiopia, excuse me. They're in Africa. And it's the Amharic people, Amharic, and the word is Salām, S-A-L-A-M, Salām. Okay, so Salām be with you. Okay, let's see if I can close with our song and get you started on one of your meditations. Only God's plan for salvation will work. What would you have me do? What would you have me do? Where would you have me go? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say, and to whom? Only God's plan for salvation will work. Throughout the day, I'm tempted to say, holding grievances is the opposite of God's plan for salvation. Holding grievances is the opposite of God's plan for salvation. And only His plan will work. Only God's plan for salvation will work. And if you're following along out of the original edition, read chapter 8, Roman numeral 5, out of John chapter 3, Iyengar, page 88 and 89, and A Course of Love 20, 34 through 43. Only God's plan for salvation will work. Salām.